Hello, Theories of Play students. This is Michelle. I'm doing your responses to actually the last 2 weeks assignment submissions because I was kind of wanting to give you a break over the fall break. So I'm going to dive right in and go through these little by little. They're comments and questions that stood out to me that I wanted to respond to. So I hope you're used to these by now, and I hope you listen to them because I'm trying to make the class a little more back and forth than it sometimes can be with online courses. So the first one here is that if children are given tablets that has only educational games on it, what effects would that have? So that was part of the most recent assignment video where it talked about the effects of technology and screens and that and what children are missing out on when they get that. So the short and very simple, complete, accurate answer is that a tablet with educational games is still a tablet. The effect of the tablet on the brain has nothing to do with the content on the tablet. That's the simplest way to understand this. It's the interaction of the brain with the screen, the light from the screen, the input from the screen, and the visual response to the eyes and the eye movement and the brain's connection to the eye, the sounds, all of that together is a different sensory experiment than one you would have with a real live human being or a place. And it affects the brain differently, creates an uptake in certain neurotransmitters, which cause the brain to actually become addicted to the experience. So the content of it really doesn't matter. So the effect does not change. Okay, so that's that one. Core ideas about cultural capital. So this was from that chapter that you just read. And I'm trying to see where the question is here. We separate cultural capital. I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure why this is in here, so I've made a mistake. I'm going to delete it. Sorry about that. I would like to know about the correlation of delays that are present with a child set in front of a TV or phone or tablet most of the day with ones that are not. So first of all, let's break this down. The effect of a tablet or a computer, a phone, I'm assuming you mean like a screen of a phone, and the television are different. The television has a different impact on the brain. It's a different kind of light. It's a different sensory experience. So it has a very different effect on the brain than a phone screen or a tablet screen. If you are in front of either type of screen or a combination of them during the day and most of the day, your brain is not receiving the experiences that it's designed to have to become fully human, to become a human being who's able to manage certain experiences in the world. So like dealing with other people or dealing with understanding what to do in a certain situation. So that's the answer to that. It's a very important and disturbing kind of bit of information that we now understand, especially because during COVID, it's very understandable and likely that parents resorted to that. So here's a question, a really good question that one of you has asked about kids who are soothed by using a tablet or playing on something like that. And what I want you to understand, and you can actually, if you want more to read about this, I can send you some good articles or videotapes that explain this. But basically, what we're fooling around with here is that the brain experiences certain neurodevelopmental neurotransmitter responses to these tablets and screens. And children who are soothed by them are the same children who would be soothed if they drank a beer or used a drug. It has the same effect on the brain, exactly the same effect. So that, yes, it works, especially with some children who really get addicted to it and need it, crave it, and are irritable and melt down a lot, just like you would if you were trying to withdraw from alcohol use as an adult. So this is a very important and difficult concept to grasp, that basically what we've done with young children is experiment with giving them an addictive substance at an early age before the brain is really equipped to deal with it. And so we're finding out what the consequences of that are. So if you say that, yes, children can be soothed by this because it is something that does that to the brain, but you can also feel more calm and happier if you drink a beer or smoke marijuana or whatever. It all has the same effect on the brain. Just don't do it. So it's a very risky thing that we have done here. So here is a quote about white privilege in that chapter about cultural capital, and I thought this was a really important piece here. I believe in white privilege, but this chapter had me questioning my biases and if I am believing in white privilege and reintroducing ignorance or making it worse. Am I acknowledging my privilege or am I harming and worsening my own biases? So I'm not exactly sure what's meant here, but what I want to tell you is that acknowledging and studying and concentrating on your own biases and your privilege does not make it worse. It may make you more aware of it. It may make you more aware of situations that are harmful to our Black and brown neighbors and community members and colleagues. Yes, it may make you aware of things that feel worse, and that is the appropriate response. If you're feeling like, wow, I'm noticing all this stuff now, and am I making things worse by noticing it? The answer is no. You're making things better. Things do not change or get better until we acknowledge how they really are. And we who are white have had the privilege of ignoring this for centuries. And it really is, it's long past the time for us to dive into this and be honest about it. And I personally do a lot of work in this area, and I have for about 35 years. So if you're interested in learning more about this, please just send me an email and say, I want to know more about the role of bias and white privilege in my own life and how I can be supported on my journey. You don't have to do this journey alone, and you shouldn't do it alone. There are lots of white people who are making this journey, who are acknowledging their privilege and saying, I don't want to do harm anymore. So what do I need to do? So I just wanted to say that about that comment. I thought that was a really great comment and question. I need to know more about how it affects adults who sit at a computer all day and evolution and natural needs. Well, I've pretty much said how it affects us. It changes the brain. And as adults, we are up against it also. We can also become addicted. I know a lot of students in college get addicted to TikTok and all these other things that are out there, and many of them do not complete assignments on time. They do not come to classes. They have issues at work. Some even drop out of college or flunk out of school because they are addicted to computers. And if you have to be on a computer for work, and I'm one of those people who do, you have to really take good care of your mental health and not be on your phone after work hours, not, just disconnect. You have to really be careful that it's you who is disconnecting and connecting, not you responding to an addiction. So that's how I would answer that question. And as teachers, we need to model this. We cannot be on our phones in the classroom. We cannot be on our computers all the time in the classroom. We can't resort to computer use to teach when we could do it in person and do a hands-on activity. So that's what I would say about that. Why does the computer cause developmental delays, or why does the screens? Because of what I just described. The brain is not developing as it's meant to. It's addicted to that experience that it gets from the screen, and a screen is not a replacement for a human being. That's the bottom line. And it's human interaction and interaction with the real world that allows the brain to grow and develop as it's meant to. Screens do not provide that. So that is why there's developmental delay, because kids are not having the experiences they need to be having. The brain is not getting what it needs. So this one is about socioeconomic differences and about poverty. And then it goes on to say that there are some children who are advantaged and disadvantaged. So yes, all of that's true. I just wanted to highlight here that poverty is important, and it's important to not replace looking at white privilege and issues with Black and brown families by saying it's poverty, not racism. It's racism, and poverty exists because of racism. So that's what I wanted to say there to you, to introduce you to that idea. So here is something about someone who said they did not know that there was a reality here about children being cared for by Black women, and that it was something this student said she or he thought was only in movies. So I think that it's really important to understand. Also, I wanted to say that be careful about movies. Most movies that show the role of Black women are not accurate portrayals. So what I want you to look for in movies about Black women is, are these women having an experience that's authentic? And so, these old movies where Black women are taking care of white children that make it look like they're happy doing that are not real experiences that are being portrayed that Black women had. So I think this is a really important realization, and I appreciate the student writing about that. I think it was really, really good. Then here is some more about cultural capital. If I'm making sense of this, it means that wealthy school systems already have systems in place for students to succeed. But it goes much deeper. Inequality towards adults comes down to the children as well. Yes, absolutely. I wonder if my long-held theories fall into this topic. I've noticed that schools in less wealthy parts of town promote low-paying jobs and so on. Yes, all of that this student writes about here, that schools actually send students into specific areas of work. That is absolutely true. It's very intentional. It's not by accident. And it's all based in racist practices. If you want to know more about this in depth, there's a new book called Punished for Dreaming by Bettina Love. Bettina, new word, Love, Love. So I would recommend reading that history if you're interested in it. But yes, that's true. So funding in schools where income is the lowest. I had a theory that people would be held down because, yes, you're correct about that. All of that is all correct. Yes, schools are definitely very, very biased about the kinds of things they provide for their students and careers they encourage them to go into. Okay, on page 35, this would be in that same chapter. This further answers my question: a system set up to keep people in certain ways of living and then complains that people are lazy and unmotivated. Yes, all of that is true. So, yes, all of that is true. And then the chapter discussing how children come to them with attitudes and dispositions, strong communication and knowledge. Yes, so there are kids that get a better start in life because of where they go to school. Absolutely. Again, just go read that book, Punished for Dreaming. It has that whole history. The text describes something called a word gap. So the main thing I wanted to say about this word gap thing, this is a pretty popular and well-known notion that children who live in certain spaces, whether poverty-stricken or isolated in rural places, that kind of thing. The main thing that I want us to be really careful of here is that we are not blaming the families. We are not saying that the families are doing something wrong. This word gap is through no fault of the family or the guardians or parents. I just want to make that really clear. Sometimes those reports can make it sound like that is the case. They're not smart enough, or they're not educated enough, they're not this enough, they're not that enough, they don't read to their children, they don't provide their children with enough materials, all of that. So I just want to be sure that we understand that this word gap that's being discussed here has nothing to do with the family themselves. It's the situation and circumstances that we as a culture allow to exist. We allow extreme poverty to exist in our country in certain places. In Kentucky, you just have to go to Appalachia to see it firsthand, but also you can see it very often here, right here in Louisville, Kentucky. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. And this whole thing about gaps, I just want to make sure that we're not blaming the people who are suffering. Okay, so I think that's it. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll look forward to reading your assignments and responding to them next time.